Hello everyone, so today we are back with Saigon Online Tech City series video, and the topic today is music and programming. Two seemingly unrelated topics, but today we are sitting with an expert in both, Mr. Eric, the head of mobile from ZALORA. He's gonna share with us the relation between these two fields. So hello Mr. Eric, can you first introduce us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yes. Hi, my name is Eric. I run the development of the mobile apps here at ZALORA. And yeah, we're working just day in and day out to do the native apps, iOS app, the Android app, and the mobile API, and everything around the mobile ecosystem in ZALORA. And as you said, I do have 2 degrees in music composition. Seems completely unrelated, but I don't know. I feel like they're really intertwined.
As we see on your profile, you have a master's degree in arts, and now you are head of mobile. So what happened? Why?
Okay, well, when you put it that way, it does sound very dramatic. But from my point of view, it was a really natural transition. Yes, I do have a master's in music composition, and yes, I did my bachelor's in it as well. And I've been composing since very young, but I've also been programming since young. Yeah. And so then something probably unknown to people who don't do a music degree, especially in composition, the school that I was at, they emphasized both acoustic composition, which is writing music for orchestras, string quartets, real instruments, and also electronic composition. Okay, which includes a lot. It's not the kind of dance music that you hear at the club, but rather it's a lot of this really experimental kind of music, and it involved a lot of coursework in programming and computer science and digital signal processing and audio physics, and it kind of expanded into a whole field that got very technical, because you needed to understand the technical aspects of how sound travels through space in order to make this work. And of course, that side of the learning was, for me, extremely fascinating. Yeah, so it was something that I've always been doing alongside my music composition work.
So having experience and knowledge in both music and programming, does it give you any advantage in your job right now?
Well, I would say yes, of course. Yes, definitely. There's a lot of hidden and kind of latent advantages in having this sort of point of view. And I think the greatest advantage is in the way that you look at problem solving. I can describe to you what I was doing in my actual coursework in my graduate school, which I went to conservatory for composition in Tokyo, and I would need to start a new project. Okay, I would have to think about, what instruments am I going to use? What kind of instrumentation do I have? What's available to me right now? And then out of those, structure a piece. Okay, what's my piece about? What's it going to be like? How long is it going to be? What's the flow, the dynamics? How is that going to go? And then finally, write it all out, and then have it performed. Okay. Now, if you're a programmer or anything that you have any familiarity with this sounds very familiar to you, right? That's exactly how you write a piece of software. Exactly the same. What technology do I use? You choose that. What are my resources at hand? How long do I have? What's the product going to look like? And then you code it up. So there you go. That's the parallel. I do it in the same way, except for when you're doing a piece of art. It's you take in the whole artistic history of what you know in your head, and that apply it either subconsciously or consciously to what you're making. So I think I do the same here with my software.
Yeah. Comparing between music and programming, what is the difference and what is the similar?
I think there's more similarities than there are differences between these two fields. Firstly, they're both creators. Well, the people who do them, they're creators. These are creative fields where you're making something. The process by which you start working on your project, in both, they're the same process. You have to think about what you have available to you in music. You have to think about what instruments you want to use, right? What effect you want. And if it's going to be performed somewhere, you have to think about, do you know people who can actually play it, right? So you're limited by a number of people. Where is it going to be performed and played? So those are the people. In programming, you have maybe a project that you're like, oh, who are my friends who can program? And you want to build up a team to work on your project. There you go. It's the same thing right there. Then after that, you think about what kind of project you want to work on. You plan it out. You write out your technical specs and all these things. You do the same in music. You decide what kind of piece it's going to be, and it's contrary to what people might think. You don't have to just sit around and wait for inspiration. You do have to do a lot of planning work, and I feel it's the same really across music and programming.
So there are some similarity between music composing and programming. But in music, I assume we need a lot of creativity. So do we need creativity in programming as well?
Yes, of course, because programming is the art of actually giving computers instructions, right? But we're not only just programming here, we are solving problems. So to determine what the problems are may be analytical work, but how to solve it is absolutely creative work. Okay, so I think most of the members of the team can also agree with me, even the ones who do not have arts degrees, and so I think it's everybody, they will also agree that they have to really flex their right brain quite a lot when they're doing their work. And it helps because, from my point of view, I can only think in that mode from looking at problems as problems to solve creatively or artistically. And we use a lot of that language when speaking to each other in the team.
Do you have any other advice to the developers who are watching? Should they also jump into music, or what else should they do to contribute to their job?
If they like music, I would say get into music. But more broadly, I would say just do something else. Do something that's not programming. So as a first step, and this is something we do with the team as well here, is that I would like the team to explore things that aren't part of their actual direct profession. So an Android developer can explore iOS development. An iOS developer can explore web development or backend stuff. And that expands out to just completely covering different fields and areas that you never even knew about, whether that includes music, playing the violin or the piano, or even underwater basket weaving. No matter what, that will shape the way that you think about problems that you solve here at work directly and in your code. So I would recommend everyone to just expand what they do in their off time. There's a school of thought, or rather there's a way of doing education that they call multidisciplinary education. I think there's actually a better name for it, but it's multidisciplinary. Harvard is one place where they really champion this idea of multidisciplinary arts, and I don't know exactly how it is right now, but back when I was in the university, Harvard and in the past, Harvard was one place where they did this, and they really emphasized people who are studying one field to also study another, and they mandated that as part of their curriculum, and that produces people who are thoughtful and very conscientious about not only what they're doing, but what everyone else in the society is doing around them. And knowing of a different field really informs what you do. So you have to really extrapolate not just how and why people do a certain thing, but extrapolate the essence of that and try to get the best part of it and put it into your own work. So I do the same with music and programming every single day here at work.
So if someone wants to follow this kind of learning, what do you suggest them to follow or to do?
The bulk of this learning will happen latently just from doing the thing, all right? So if you pick up drawing, line drawing or pencil sketching or anything like that, or if you start playing the clarinet, right, you will learn the mechanics of doing those things. You will learn how to sketch, and you will learn how to press the keys to create the sounds. Okay, over time, once that becomes a habit and it becomes muscle memory, then you'll start to think about what you're actually doing. And that's the moment that you'll see the parallels between two different areas. It's just a matter of doing it over and over. If you're already a programmer, then that is probably already inside you deeply. You can already see a problem, or rather you can see a problem and visualize its solution right away if you're a programmer. If you're a musician, you can probably do the same in a different way, just because you've been doing that for a long time. And I feel like that's the case. The more disciplines you have under your belt, the more you'll have to draw from when it's time to really come up with a creative solution.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I hope with your sharing, everyone will know more about the relation between music and programming. And moreover, you have more motivation to explore more fields beside programming. And if you have more questions, you can comment below and we will transfer the question to Mr. Eric. Thank you.
You can just keep it rolling and we'll just talk about random stuff.
So again, so what do you think about Elon Musk and the way he thinks and learns stuff?
Oh, Elon Musk, okay, as an example of someone who maybe lives this multidisciplinary life, absolutely. Elon Musk himself, from what I know, he doesn't participate in any of the humanities or the arts, but his method of diving deep into a topic is really famous, right? Very well known, and he does that with everything he does. So whether it be, for example, when he's at SpaceX trying to design a rocket that's reusable, he doesn't just rely on history and the fact that we have made these rockets from some sort of material for the past 40-50 years. He will deep dive into materials engineering to find an alternative that's can be the base for a reusable rocket in the future. So that is exactly the definition of someone who goes deep into multidisciplinary. He's not afraid to dive into something like this, as opposed to I think the opposite of that would be to hire an expert and then not really care too much about it. But then again, I think it's from his own personal curiosity and his nature that he goes and dives deep into topics.